Alright, now I get to do this properly. I'm just putting these in the chat then and letting people join me. Alright, first one down. First one, well, technically first stream up, I guess. It's one of two today. Let's see what is going on. Alright, I think... that should be everything sorted. Nice, beautiful. Glad to see that I can be heard loud and clear, so that's a good thing. Let's see how everything going. Hello, Tim. Just give it a few minutes for people to join as we usually do, and then we can go through the race. Go Kyoto first. Yeah, Kyoto first. And then we'll do Nürburgring GP afterwards. Get a double today. Be the first tier. Hopefully done. Oh, not an awful lot better than a really, really cold drink of water. You know, like the 2 a.m. kind of drinks of water you kind of get. Don't get better than that. Yeah, hello everyone. How's everyone doing so far today then? Everyone just saying me and replying to Jensen. So he's gonna lose his mind at some point. Yeah, we'll go through a couple minutes here then, and then go through the grid. I do see that Bluebeard's done pole again, and it would be absolutely incredible. The Bluebeard at the moment. He's had the electric season. I think he still had pole in every race bar one. I think he's been on pole in every single race bar one. He currently has a 21-point lead. 21-point lead here then. I believe it was going into... Was it 21 or 25? Hold on, let's have a look. 2 rounds to go. Tier 4 blue. The gap is 22, sorry. Hey, Chuck Nice. Yeah, it's 22 going into the final couple of races of the season. It is now 23 with that pole position point. Don't forget, you need to have 43 by the end of the race to win the championship with a race to go. So, Bluebeard would need to extend his gap to H-Boss by 21 points in order to win the championship today. Good luck at doing that. To be completely honest with you, good luck. That's a saw. That's for sure. And the gen, Chuck and I was talking about the gen. I can imagine that the gen would be absolutely tragic around here. A car that's not good on its tyres going around a very very tyre-centric track is going to be an absolute nightmare. All right, let's see. We've gone through, we've had about 5 minutes now. Let's go through this grid then and see what tyres everyone on. So Bluebeard's on pole. Ahmad's second on the soft in the Porsche. Rich in third in the McLaren. You've got H-Boss in fourth. And there you go. There's your championship, main championship rival there. H-Boss in fourth on soft in the Aston Martin. Should be pretty good around here, if I'm completely honest. Danger Mouse in fifth on the soft as well. Gus back in sixth. Robbo in seventh. That's the highest he's been in a long time. Chuck Norris in eighth in the Gen, having to start on medium tyres. It's not going to get much better from here. Obi-Wan on mediums as well. Yuri in 10th on the medium. I can imagine everyone back here is on the medium tyres now then. Sapper in 11th. No, Epsilon on the Silhouette in 12th on softs, and then Absolute tail in the grid on the medium tyres. All right, let's get through 7 laps of racing here then. With 4, 5 red lights. It's lights out and away we go as we head down to turn 1. Richard got off to a far better start than the Porsche. The Porsche getting swallowed up already down into 5th. And Chuck Norris off to a blind of a start as well. He's teleporting his way around the track. That's never a good sign in terms of how in terms of the lag. Around through the first sector. Might be a little bit of contact. These two go side by side through the hill. It's almost impossible to watch Chuck Norris go through. He is bouncing from side to side the entire way. Yuri up into 6th from 11th. He's got a nice run now. It looks like Ahmad has dropped to 7th then. Obi-Wan there. Epsilon from 12th all the way up into 6th. But I feel... No, not the Porsche. The Porsche again. Awful start. I think he just got clobbered. Epsilon might have got into the side of Yuri. Oh, Yuri got back across. I think Epsilon was there. And then the poor Porsche gets absolutely decimated. As a result, Yuri's back down to 9th. We head to the left, to the right-hand side here in a long right-hander, followed by a left-hander onto the Miyabi track. Goes back in 11th, Absolute in 12th. Ahmad is tailed off the back now. Sapper in 9th is getting charged down by Yuri as everyone is still fighting quite heavily in the middle of the pack. We've got Obi-Wan ahead behind Robbo. Epsilon into 6th. Chuck Norris in 5th. They're still lagging his way around the track. Danger Mouse in 4th. H-Boss up into 3rd then. At the start of this race, Bluebeard wouldn't have liked to see that. He would like to have opened up as much of a gap as humanly possible in this race to see if he can get the title of race early. Rich in 2nd at the moment. The McLaren doing well. McLaren looking front runners for the Constructors' Championship up to this point as well. We're on lap 1 of 7, round into the last sector of the lap. Bluebeard still leads with the Japanese livery on the car now, with Rich in 2nd, with H-Boss in 3rd. Chuck Norris is ahead of Epsilon, so something must have... Well, no, actually, no, they haven't. Danger Mouse in 4th. Chuck Norris right there with Epsilon. Epsilon is catching at the rate of knots. His tyres should be good as well. We've got yellow flags, which is not good news for Bluebeard. Oh, Bluebeard, no! What happened here then? The leader of the race, the leader of the championship just gets it all sorts of wrong. There is a curb there you were meant to hit. He missed it entirely, went too much for the speed and is going to have problems getting back onto the track now. There's some more carnage in the back of the field. Yuri, and I think that might have been Gus back this time. Let's have a look. The yellow flag obviously creeping up. Oh, never mind. No, it's not. Bluebeard. Unsafe rejoin so heavily here. Let's have a look at this from Bluebeard's point of view then. That was Sapper, the first one. Yuri got caught as well. Sapper and Yuri off the track. Ahmad's going to get 2 positions back then. Yuri and, yeah, that's not the greatest of moves there from Bluebeard to rejoin the track in such a manner. go through. It looks like that is Yuri in the back with Bluebeard. And Zapper it back into 10th then. Absolute directly in front of that. Gus back ahead behind Obi-Wan with Robbo there. And then Epsilon into the top 5 in the Silhouette. Silhouette's tyres should effectively be really good around this track. It'll help it out. Even with the pace disadvantage of the car itself. Should help him. It should help him out fairly largely here, to be honest with you. I wonder how much it's going to actually do. And continue on. Here we are, Epsilon to the inside of Chuck Norris. Epsilon down the inside. A little bit of contact, maybe going a little bit too deep. Chuck Norris forced all the way out. Robbo on the outside now trying to make his way through. He's in 5th currently, or is he 6th now because Chuck Norris has got him back. Those two hitting each other down the straight. Robbo still existing, trying to get past Chuck Norris and isn't able to do it. So Epsilon still ahead of Chuck Norris for not much longer though if he's going to drive like that. Far too wide on the entrance, but he is still slightly ahead of the Gen X for now. The medium tyre of the Gen X is not helping him out in any way, shape or form. Epsilon down the inside will gain 4th back. He's doing a good job of it as well. Obi-Wan's going straight after Robbo as well. Not able to pick him off, however. Wonder if there's going to be anything in this for Obi-Wan down the inside on Robbo. Gets a good run, but will it be good enough of an exit? It might be. It is. And Gusback might be going for it as well. Gusback and Robbo side by side into the chicane. Gusback should have the inside line. A little bit of contact on the way through, but Gusback is through. But up in the 7th. Robbo down into 8th then. Zappa in 9th, Absolute in 10th, getting caught up by Ahmad's now in 11th, who had, quite frankly, the worst first lap I think he could have probably amassed. We're continuing on here then. Absolute trying to defend from Ahmad's. I don't really think he's got a lot in the tank in terms of defending it. Absolute still ahead of him for now. Zappa in the McLaren is in 9th, so still gaining a couple of points for the McLaren team, but they only realistically had the constructors to aim for. Let's have a look down the hill. Ahmad is going to have a really good shout here. Realistically looking to the inside. Bluebeard is going to send it instead. Bluebeard to the inside. I think, well, I'm going to go back here because I'm not entirely sure what happened here. The camera angle was abysmal. Ahmad's on Absolute as well by the looks of things. No, Absolute then. Oh, Ahmad's hit the back of Absolute on the way through. Now Ahmad's going to, I think, stop and let the Absolute back through, and he has. Good show of sportsmanship there from Ahmad to let Absolute back through, but it had let Bluebeard into the point spots again. Don't forget the gap is 22. The gap is, well, technically 23 after Bluebeard's pole position. His sprint has gone the opposite of what he would have liked. Gus back is going after Obi-Wan now. We're going to look a little bit further up the grid. Gus back to the outside. Can he get this done? Obi-Wan should be able to defend this fairly easily on the inside. Robbo trying to put his nose in. Does get his nose in. Hits Gus back on the way through. Binky's still ahead. Inside line into the following corner. This is going to go neck and neck. Gusback will have it into the hairpin. Or Gusback won't have it into the hairpin because he decided to go in behind Robbo. And Robbo's going to have it. Chuck Norris ahead of Epsilon now as Chuck Norris is up in the 4th. The middle of the pack all grouped together with Sapper not that far off the back of the group now. Yuri tailed off at the back of the field. H-Boss is still behind Rich, who's got control of this race now. Danger Mouse in 3rd, so H-Boss is currently picking up 12. And I think Bluebeard is currently, picking up the singular point. So it turn 13 in H-Boss's favour at this stand. Ahmad's get past Absolute eventually. So that would be a 10-point gap going into the feature race at Kyoto. All it would take is one decent race from H-Boss and it will be well and truly game on at the NERB. Bluebeard right on the back of Sapper. Sapper is on medium tyres in the McLaren for some reason. Not entirely sure why he's elected to do that. Here comes Bluebeard to the inside. Doesn't go for it there. Robbo still ahead of the both of them as well. Oh, as soon as I said something! As soon as I said he's still ahead! Sapper's going by, and now you can only assume this is Q to get out of the way of his teammate. And that's exactly what he does. Bluebeard on by, and he'll gain an extra point. And all these points may be critical come the end of this season. Epsilon. Oh, let's have a look at Epsilon then. I'm not sure what has happened there. That looked wild. Epsilon at the top of the hill. Oh, he got on the grass. He got on the grass. Tried to brake. Tried to turn to the card's head. No. Absolutely not. Got caught in the curb. And, yeah, damaged that front right now. He is in trouble. He is in a lot of trouble. Bluebeard down the inside, and that's an extra point for Bluebeard, the championship leader. Epsilon made a critical error there. Unforced. Entirely unforced error at that. Still critical nonetheless. You can tell the tyre was wearing that. The silhouette's incredible. Fortunately, it's not going to do much with the lack of pace. Just back still ahead of Sapper then. Chuck Norris not really charging Danger Mouse down. The front four have got themselves a decent advantage to the rest of the pack. Gus back can get onto the back of everyone. We'll have 5 or 6 cars fighting for 5th. He had to pit in the... How does one wreck their tyres so badly? He started on soft by any chance? He did start on soft by it, and forgot how the tyres work around here. It's a rather unfortunate set of events, to be completely honest with you. That's going to be nightmare material. Probably is quicker to pit, to be honest with you, than it is just to actually stay out on track and lose to 7 seconds. That's gone again! All over the place! This time out of turn 1. Right, so Bluebeard behind Sapper right now. Don't forget Sapper's on the median. Bluebeard's on the soft. Bluebeard's got to go for it right now. He elects not to. If I was Bluebeard, I would have gone for Sapper there. Points are what you need. 5 seconds behind. Epsilon's going to be within. It's going to be lucky if Epsilon and Robbo stay within 15 seconds behind. Never mind 5. That only would have been worth it if you had it. You either gain a couple of points here, you gain not, or you lose, and you lose nothing. So I'm surprised he didn't go for it, to be honest with you. Already made one mistake. Maybe that was playing in the back of the mind. Chuck Norris and yeah, the top 4 still quite heavily ahead of each other. We'll stay in the mid pack here then. Go through. Because he's on soft tyres in a BMW, Tim. That's how. Other one looking through with Gus back. Behind him, Sapper and Bluebeard there as well. Epsilon has finally got his shit together. It's starting to get a little bit more distance between him and Robbo, who has got no tyres left on lap 5 of the race. Look at that front left. I knew the M6 was bad on its tyres. I wasn't expecting it to be quite that bad. And Bluebeard in front of him's got the half a tyre left. He has well and truly wrecked him. Ahmad should be able to pick an easy position off here. Get himself onto the back, onto reverse grid pole. As this one continues on. Here we go, down the inside goes Ahmad. Ahmad looking for a move on Robbo, who's going to go into the pits here then. No, he stays out. Why? Why would you Why would you stay out on that front right of a tyre? The average time loss on that dead of a tyre, on an incredibly dead, and it's about to get punctured tyre, is about 7 seconds. There is no reason for him to stay out there at all. Yeah, the tyre wear is absolutely incredible. You don't remember being that bad, but there's a stream here telling me you've got 0 tyre left. And this time that's not hyperbole. The last bit of white is just officially disappeared from Robbo's car. He's racing on the rims at the front. On that front right of the BMW. Ahmad's up into 10th. Absolute got past as well into 11th. Epsilon is well clear of the top of 10th place, but is trying to hunt down Bluebeard in 8th, who had his absolute mess of a first lap, which cost him a control of this race and potentially the championship alongside it, if he doesn't get this feature race right. Quite frankly, the pressure is now all on Bluebeard. The onus to get this next race right is quite heavy, because he's just actually sitting himself 10 points clear as of right now, which is never a good sign and never a good place to be. Only 10 points clear when you had a 43 point gap. It was a 46 point gap actually, is what Bluebeard had at one point. Now round 6 is going to be perfectly fine on tyres to the end here. Turn my own phone down. Sapper still ahead of Bluebeard. Gus back in front of them. Just still off the back of Obi-Wan, who's on a medium tyre doing fairly well. Ghostback's not going to have too much left tyre to give either. Here comes Bluebeard on the inside of Sapper. And Bluebeard gets an extra place. If I'm completely honest with you, that's a move that's come about 3 laps too late for Bluebeard. Could have easily had top 5 here. And certainly top 6 could have easily beaten Gus back. I would assume that if he got past a couple of laps ago when he had the chance down at the end of Sector 1, beginning of Sector 2, that he probably would have given Obi-Wan a run for his money in this position as well, but we'll never find the answer out to that. Gus back is all over the place now. Bluebeard did him a bit of a bump. It was inadvertent. It's going to help Gus back out quite heavily, but that tyre is all over the place for Gus back as well down the inside. Sapper's going to have to give Gus back a little bit of help here, potentially. Or is he going to try and follow through a hole? He currently boxed himself to the outside, has Sapper. Gus back looking the long way round on Bluebeard, trying to get himself into position to steal back 6th. It looked like he might have. That looked good. That corner was exceptional. Sapper had a chance to steal back off Bluebeard as well here. The open hole. Again, the whole hole is opening up to the inside, and they're not taking it. Here comes Bluebeard again to the inside. Not really giving Gus back much of a chance to fight back. And Gus back is just struggling through the corner. Bluebeard's got him on strings. Sapper also looking for a move. Switch to the inside. He might be able to pull something off. Gus back into the side. Oh, and he's hit Bluebeard. Gus back has hit Bluebeard. Down the inside here. He just catches so many degrees of wrong. Slight into the side of Bluebeard, who keeps it running. And somehow Bluebeard has survived. I have no idea how Bluebeard has managed to survive in 6th place there. The hole opened up. Sapper should have had them both. Sapper should have had them both. Epsilon will get 8th. We're going to go toward the front now then. Danger Mouse and H-Boss. H-Boss is running out of tyres like it's going out of fashion. One person who isn't running out of tyres though is Rich, who has been in control of this race since Bluebeard made the errors on lap 1. And the McLaren will win in Kyoto Sprint. And they look to stake their claim on the constructors. H-Boss will decrease the championship lead. Danger Mouse will get third. Chuck Norris in 4th. Obi-Wan in 5th. Bluebeard gets 6th. So that's 12 points to H-Boss. There's 10, 8, 6, 5 for Bluebeard. So that's a 7-point cut into the lead, which makes it 16. Going into the Kyoto feature, Sapper gets 7th, Epsilon gets 8th, Gosbach 9th, Ahmad's in 10th, Field start reverse grid pole, Saudi Arabian starting on the reverse grid front row. Absolute in 11th, Fury in 12th, and Robbo, well, should have started on mediums. That's exactly what I'm going to say about that. Ruining the tyres by lap 5 is honestly an impressive feat. I know it's been in for a couple of weeks now. There's a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of days. I don't know when they put it in, but I've only just realised the Christmas music is back in GT. It's rather impressive the fact that Bluebeard managed to hold on to 6th there. That could have done so much more damage. I reckon H-Boss watching this back will probably have hoped it did do more damage. You currently see a 16-point gap. 16-point gap at the lead of the championship. Rich had the lead. Rich had the fastest lap, so that only points for the constructors rather than helping anyone. Tim, this was a week ago. This race wasn't this week at the NERB. It was last week's race. I don't know if it did get reported. I reckon Bluebeard could enlighten us on that one. But yeah, this was not Monday just gone. This was Monday prior. And then we'll get around to the Nürburgring race in probably about an hour from now. Right, let's go through the grid here then. So we've got Ahmad on medium tyres to start with. I assume this is going to be a 2-stop race the entire way down the grid. Gus back in second. I assume most people... No reports, damn. Got away with that one then. Could have easily have been multiple positions taken away there. Admittedly, everyone from 9th back has not really done much damage after the incidents earlier on. But yeah, you wouldn't have actually lost that many positions. Yeah, Sapper on the medium tide. Then Bluebeard, the first one of the hards, which I'm not too surprised for the M6. Mediums for Obi-Wan. Hards for Chuck Norris in the Gen X. Mediums for Danger Mouse. Hards for H-Boss. I'm surprised at that one. Mediums for Rich. Hard for Absolute, which seem to go in one each position at the moment. Epsilon is out of this race, so we're down to 12. Yuri in 11th and Robbo in 12th on the hard tyres as well as we go through with the klaxons sounding, and we are off and running for the Kyoto feature race here there with Ahmad in the Porsche out front, followed by Gus back in the Merc in second place. Let's see what happens into the first corner. Not an awful lot, as Bluebeard is going to have to deal with the hard tyres. I wonder whether or not it's going to be 1 stops or 2 stops to the grid. Everyone looking for a move already. Down into the first sector, doesn't really get much of anything. Yuri's all over the place in the background as we continue to watch the group at the front drive on in the beginning of this sprint, in the beginning of this feature race, sorry. We continue on. It's a GTR sandwich for Chuck Norris at the moment. Gus back a little bit wide. It looked like Sapper wasn't much better. Bluebeard is dropping off quite rapidly. Front 3, all of them on medium tyres, have got to get away, quickly. The Kyoto pit lane is extremely short, so you could engineer this in a way where you can get that gap early on. Try and break that 10 seconds as quickly as you can to Bluebeard and see if you can keep that pit stop ahead if he elects to do the 1 stop. Because Looked like Chuck Norris is ahead of Danger Mouse. That didn't look good, so that's not good news for Danger Mouse on the medium tyres, dropping back rather than going forward. We got Rich on the inside of H-Boss. That looked so easy done from Rich there on the inside. H-Boss is just gonna have to put up with that for a little bit. A bit growing pains in this race already. Everyone behind him is now on the hard tyres, so he won't get blitzed by like that by anybody else in on the grid. And he is in a position where he knows if he was to win this race, that gap would be single digits. More than likely single digits. Anyway. Bluebeard would have to be on some sort of a fight in Nürburgring to actually keep himself, well, to keep the championship at bay. But for now, Bluebeard has 4th. H-Boss has 9th. Bluebeard would absolutely take this scenario. I wish he could probably blow the whistle now. We go through. Chuck Norris trying to go the long way round. Well, try to stop. Danger Mouse going the long way round, rather. Absolute and Yuri having an absolute mare in the background. Not entirely sure what happened between the two of them there. H-Boss just on the back of the car, of the McLaren in front of him. Yuri to the inside in the hot pink Alfa Romeo. Finally gets past Absolute. So he's up into 10th then. A little bit side-by-side action. Rich and Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan having a bit of an issue at the start of this race and now been overtaken by the McLaren, who has a lot of pace in this one. Up in a 7th already. Don't forget he won the sprint race, so he started in 10th. So he has moved his way forward 3 or 4 positions up to this point. We're only on lap 2. The car in front of him on medium tyre. The car, Chuck Norris on hards. Also Bluebeard on hard. So he's got an opportunity to gain a couple of positions coming up. He might be getting a lot closer than he thinks, considering that was a bit all over the place from Danger Mouse and Chuck Norris. But Danger Mouse on the exit looks to pull the blinder and gets past Chuck Norris. And the door is opening up for Rich as well. He's just going to stick himself on the inside. Almost hit the rear quarter panel of Chuck Norris there. That almost ended in disaster. Chuck Norris and Boris still goes on, however. Continue watching these 3 fight for that 5th place at this point in time. I wonder how long it's going to be before Rich decides to make his move. Chuck Norris gets blocked off by Danger Mouse. And Rich, you can see, just trying to fashion that opening. It hasn't really worked up to this point. This lap has not gone the way he probably would have hoped it had gone. Probably would have hoped he had got past Chuck Norris at the very least by now, given the tyre difference, and he might have an opportunity to open up. It didn't look too great. Rich hasn't taken advantage of it. The exit not as quick as I thought it was going to be. Chuck Norris is going to hold on for this 6th place for now then. Top 4 hasn't changed. Everyone else currently in positions where they can make change happen, but they've got to do a lot in order to do so. It's 5th onwards, just getting separated from the pack a little bit now. Rich did a 20.9 on that last lap, which is an entire second slower than what Ahmed's had done at the front of the grid. He looked like Richard's going to go for Chuck Norris now, down the inside. Maybe a little bit of an overlap. The overlap isn't going to stay for long. I think Rich could have nailed the inside a little bit more there, because Obi-Wan certainly has. Obi-Wan looking for around the outside, going the long way on the McLaren, doesn't get it. Chuck Norris has had an absolute mare of a corner. Now Richard in good position to strike down the hill. Chuck Norris has the inside line. If I'm Obi-Wan, I'm just picking one and going for it. Instead, he looked to try and make it 3 wide, and the hole isn't going to open up as a result. Chuck Norris into the side of Rich on the way through. Obi-Wan trying to make himself known. Again, just stopped short by the McLaren. Obi-Wan just has to sit behind again. H-Boss is about to be overtaken by Yuri. He is looking like he is struggling on that hard tyre. That Aston Martin is not doing well. Not doing as well as I thought it would. Pace just does not seem to be there right now. Very intrigued at how this one's playing out. Chuck Norris is down behind not only Is he down behind Rich? He's down behind Obi-Wan. Oh, that looked like a horrible slide. That looked like a horrible slide, and it's going to impact the following corner. As you go, Obi-Wan on the inside. Rich got him as well. That was an awful, awful entrance to the corner, and it did kind of just stop him dead in its tracks. H-Boss still ahead of Yuri for now as well. Needs to get past Chuck Norris. Well, he has the chance. Chuck Norris is all over the place at the moment. No rhythm to his driving at all. H-Boss had the glorious opportunity just to give himself some breathing space because he has not been able to have that with Yuri all day. Oh, Chuck Norris and H-Boss side by side. More contact on the way through, but H-Boss is well and truly on through. Yuri should be as well. Or will he? He go down into side by side into the chicane and Yuri backs off. Yuri should not have backed off there. Would have easily had the inside line down into the chicane part. Well, you would have had the actual move in the back pocket. Either way, H-Boss isn't complaining because it gives him a little bit of a lifeline. Absolutely getting all over the place in the grass in the background. Now he can go after Obi-Wan. Can H-Boss to try and get himself an extra couple of places. One thing's for certain, if he isn't going to beat Bluebeard in this race, he needs to be relatively close to him. Gap currently sits at 16 in terms of the championship. Now, if it is 16 at the end of this race, albeit it can't be 16, if it is lower than 16 at the end of this race, we will have a fight on our hands next, well, in the final race of the season at the Nürburgring GP. Problem is, as it stands, it certainly isn't going to be 16. As it stands, the 8th to 4th, the 4th in the feature race is 18 points. And 8th, I believe, is 10, so that would be 8 points back. It would be 23. No, it wouldn't be 23, it would be 24 the gap, sorry. 24, not so manageable. Still overturnable in the final race if that's how that number that H-Boss had to chase down. We're not completely, not the easiest task in the world. Moving forward, nothing really changing at the front. Zappa a little bit closer to Gus Backer than he has been. Tide's going to favour that McLaren the entire way through. Bluebeard, again, not really doing much damage. He hasn't really been dropped off by the group at the front either. So I reckon Bluebeard probably could turn this stint in particular as a success. I know I would. The medium tyre guys at the front haven't dropped me entirely. So that would be what I'd be looking at now. Richard's just setting purple sector after purple sector. He is on absolute flying mode right now. He's in 5th. He's got himself in a position now to go after Bluebeard, who is in 4th. Don't forget, Rich won the first race. It looked so promising for him at the start of the season when he won the first 2 races of the season as well. The Sid's then stuttering in Tokyo and hasn't really been able to find the stance since. Finally won another race at Kyoto in the sprint race, looking for a double to go back to back for the 2nd time this season. And if he does do that, then the answer would probably be what if. You see, it would be a what if season for Richard for certain in that regard. I wonder what is going to happen here then. Rich just trying to barrel down the sight of Bluebeard. Looking to strengthen the McLaren's Constructors' Championship's hopes. Looking to play a little bit more of a spoiler potentially in the actual championship race between Bluebeard and H-Boss. Let's see how much he's able to do. Either way, probably a very successful first stint here for Rich. Front 3 have got a decent sized advantage now to Bluebeard, as Bluebeard is starting to drop to the back, drop to where Rich is, and Rich is going to force him to lose more time as we go along. That was the benefit of Bluebeard in the first part of the stint. He never really had to fight anyone. Everyone that he was trying to fight drifted away quickly. So he went unchallenged up to this point. Now Richard's going to challenge him. He's going to start losing the time. Going to start dropping back. Here we go. Rich to the inside. Gets it done. Potential switchback opportunity for Bluebeard. Doesn't really materialise in the slightest. And Richard ahead, up in a fourth then. All of a sudden, the chance to go after his teammate in Sapper. And then Gus back and Ahmed's in front of Sapper. Will make this look very interesting for the rest of this race. The front three on medium tyres again. Ahmed's had the worst of the three tyres by quite some distance. I wonder what the choice is, if they can go, if they're going to just stop at the 6, or if they're going to elect to go a little bit longer, potentially. The soft tyres, probably 4, maybe 5 if you're lucky. Or more realistic. Sapper still comfortably ahead of his teammate right now, going after Gus back. He's trying to figure it out at this point in time. Everyone else has just separated themselves out rather heavily at the moment. Chuck Norris behind H-Boss. H-Boss is currently in 8th still. Robbo in 10th. Absolute in 11th. Fury at the back. Just came out the pit. Onto medium tyres he goes then. I wonder what the choice is here, to be honest with you. Started on the hards. Not really. Yeah, he started on the hards, but I'm not really sure what he's got to give at the moment. He's gonna have to do something special at this point. Didn't really after a great start, but doesn't. Well, he's gonna have to force something now. Is Yuri to create a problem in this race. Sapper's right on the back of Gus back, and this will be the first time that either of the front two have been challenged this race. I wonder if we're going to get the set of pit stops now. I reckon Ahmed has to go in. If he's going to go one more, he might just about get away with it, but I don't really think he's going to... I don't think it's worth the risk, if I'm completely honest with you. Be very interesting. If you go onto the hards from here, you're going to struggle. In comes Ahmad then. I assume the two stoppers are about to start to flood in. Gusback is staying out. Sapper is staying out. Richard's got nothing to lose. He's got pretty much the same tyres as his teammate. Bluebeard on hards obviously will stay out longer. Everyone seems to have elected to stay out. I am fairly surprised at that fact, to be honest with you. Looking through at the moment. Yuri just Yuri's out well last. Well behind Ahmad, who was in the lead of the race. Absolute's got... How have you cooked your hard that... Jesus Christ! Hard tyres that bad? I thought Robbo's tyre wear was bad. Jesus Christ! I don't think I've ever seen tyre wear that high. Hard to death on Absolute's car. He must be having an absolute nightmare. He might have to do 2 sets of hards in this race, to be completely honest with you. That's not going to do him any favours. He's going to have no tyre left in the slightest. You see, I'm beginning to think this was a glitch because the medium tyres should be dead now. That is going to suck for the FD1. Jesus Christ. Yeah, there goes all the tyre now, and the final bit of white's about to disappear off the face of the earth. That is ridiculous. Sticking on, Gus back into the pits now. We're going a little bit further forward. That is some insane tyre wear. H-Boss in 7th right now. Needs to go after Obi-Wan. He's actually coming into the pits. Chuck Norris stayed. Actually, no, he isn't. Dummied in by H-Boss. So H-Boss stays out. Chuck Norris has stayed out as well. Chuck Norris is trying to go the long way around, but Boris is going to betray him a little bit there. H-Boss has a lot more fuel than the Gen X as well. Bluebeard in control of this one at the moment. Richard's got worse tyres, but is staying out for a little bit longer. Trying to get as much as he can out of these mediums. Mike went through 3 sets of hards to puncture in the feature. How? How does one manage that? I guess in the same way Absolute's just bunching his hard tyre after 7 laps. And now he's going on to a medium tyre. Well, this is going to be a fun watch. Yeah, he's behind Yuri, and I can't say I'm too surprised. Gus back out. He's out behind Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan staying in. Gus back went on hards and filled the entire tank up. That's going to be an interesting situation then. Obi-Wan on mediums and went half tank. Danger Mouse on mediums, half tank. Ahmad's went on to hards and went for pretty much as much of a tank as he could get. Sapper in front of him definitely did not. So Sapper is technically in the net race lead of this race then. Clear of Ahmad's at the moment. Strategy is going to be the big thing here at Kyoto. On track, not necessarily too much fighting at the moment, but well, it's going to be a lot based on how these strategies play out. H-Boss is behind Chuck Norris now, so Chuck Norris has got past him on the last lap or so. Tyre wear isn't too different. Oh no, it's Robert, sorry. Yeah, H-Boss have a lot more on the fuel tank as well than what Chuck Norris does. The Gen X is struggling just a little bit on its tyres at the moment as well. H-Boss looking for the long way. Chuck Norris taking a shallow route in. Maybe too wide of an exit out. Pit stops for them both then. Here comes Rich as well, so Bluebeard's the only one who stayed out. That means now Bluebeard and Robbo... No, Bluebeard is now the only person who have not pit in this race. Sapper is out ahead of his teammate. Rich is out behind Ahmad then. Sapper now has the lead of this race. So it's Sapper, when Bluebeard pits, it'll be Sapper from Ahmad's, from Rich, from Bluebeard. Well, from Danger Mouse, and then potentially Bluebeard after that. We'll see what Bluebeard elects to do, but I assume he's going one stop from here. Obi-Wan currently setting purple laps at this point in the lap, and at this point in the race as we approach halfway. First back dropped all the way back in the 7th then. Long way back. Chuck Norris after it got 3. Oh, Chuck Norris! 3 seconds for the pit lane then. H-Boss went to mediums and put a lot more fuel in. That 3 seconds is going to bring Chuck Norris a long way back. Was on the back of Gus back, will drop all the way back to Robbo most likely. Let's see how close he is, 34. Then Robbo into this, actually about 5 seconds back, 6 seconds back at the moment. That penalty is going to hamper Chuck Norris quite heavily, but it ain't going to hamper him that much. Where's the penalty being served then? I assume it's got to be on this lap, next lap. He's right on the back of Gusbach. He might go for an overtake at some point, but it won't last too long because the penalty is going to kick him in the shin. Danger Mouse just ahead of Obi-Wan. I don't think he is. No, he's on half tank. He's definitely not. He's going to the end. He's not going to the end. No, he's pitting again. And quite frankly, he certainly wouldn't be going to the end on medium tyres from here. It'd have to be hard to be going to the end from here. He's definitely not. He's definitely pitting one more time. Everyone's doing the two-stop apart from Bluebeard as far as I'm aware. Unless Gusbach and Ahmed have elected the one-stop just gone early. There we go, there's the penalty for Chuck Norris, just taking him away from Gusbach by quite some distance. Here comes Robbo looking down the line. There's H-Boss way back. And Robbo is going to close in a long way on Chuck Norris, but it ain't going to be close enough. All of the 6 seconds that he was behind has now probably fallen to just over a second, maybe in and around that second mark. Nothing happening right now for the two GTRs, or is there? Danger Mouse looking against Ahmad as Sapper and Rich has already blown by him. Ahmad to the inside to defend against the GTR. The Porsche still hanging in for now. The Porsche closing off that door, still hanging on against the GTRs. Unfortunately for him, the GTR has GTR backup. Obi-Wan is the next man up, and the problem is for Ahmad is that both the GTRs working together to get past Ahmad should realistically make this impossible for the Porsche. It's not even going to need it. Danger Mouse to the inside. Danger Mouse won't even need the help. The long way round to the following corner and then the inside of the double right. And Danger Mouse will have him sat. And Danger Mouse will have that position for now. It's a great exit though for Ahmad. He's trying to fight it back. I don't think Ahmad realistically has much of a chance. And that is exactly what has happened into that hairpin. Danger Mouse has got him fairly easily in the end. There was an attempted fight back there from Ahmad, but it didn't last too long. Bluebeard now into the pitch. One stop for Bluebeard then. Pretty sure it might be a one stop for Ahmad and for Gusbach as well. Bluebeard should come out of the pits relatively close to Gusbach then, and maybe actually close to this group. There's Gusbach, there's Bluebeard out the pit now. It's actually Gusbach he's beside. And he is ahead of the Saudi Arabian Merc. Here we go. To Bluebeard up in a sixth with clean air in front of him. I wonder how close he can get to the two stoppers now then. Obi-Wan to the inside of Ahmad. Easily done in the end. Obi-Wan, well, Ahmad didn't even put too much of a fight up against him. As Obi-Wan takes fourth. All of the top four now onto medium tyres. Apparently we're not done with the Saudi Arabian Porsche. Around the outside, going after Obi-Wan. The problem is he's probably gone too deep. He is still there, but he's pulled into the back of Obi-Wan now, and Obi-Wan will finally have that position. The GTRs have just blown by him in the space of a lap. Ahmad is fighting with Bluebeard. I don't know if Ahmad is going to be able to go properly to the end. Those tyres already starting to wear fairly heavily. I can only imagine it's two-stop coming away of the Porsche, which will make this interesting now then. For the M6 in sixth place currently, I don't think he's close enough to a pit stop on Sapper and Rich. These two are gonna, if these two can work together, build themselves a little bit of a gap, get Sapper and Rich just bomb drafting down the straights where they could easily open the gap here. Just gotta avoid mistakes. This could get very interesting. I don't actually know realistically if they're going to be that close. There's Danger Mouse and Obi-Wan, who have only just come through the chicane. They're about 4 or 5 seconds back, I think. I wonder if they're going to be close enough to Bluebeard. The problem is that Rich and Sapper are going to face is when they come out of the pits, they are going to pit straight into a lump of traffic. The problem with pitting straight into traffic is that they have to be forced into making all these overtakes, which means if they're going to get to Bluebeard, they have to go through Chuck Norris, they have to go through Gus Back, they have to go through Robbo, who's going to the inside, and will have that position on Gus Back fairly easily. And Gus Back on the hard tire just falling backwards. H-Boss the next man up. You know, Absolute and Yuri in 11th and 12th, and Absolute has got through 5 laps of a medium tyre. And again, he's left it too long. He's left it far too long. Look at that tyre. It is gone. Utterly gone. He is in trouble now, Absolute. Absolute is in a lot of trouble, a world of pain. He is going to puncture a tyre again, and that'll be that. He's in the grass. He somehow saved it there, but the tyre is gone. And now he's driving on 3 tyres and a rim. And there's the grass again. He is struggling. You can tell he's fighting the car the entire way round. There's Bluebeard right on the back. Now of the group in front. Power for second penalty for Danger Mouse with Obi-Wan behind him. Obi-Wan is going to have to look his way past Danger Mouse here on the next lap or so. Next couple of corners, not going to work if you do that though. On the exit, just too much on the rear end. Now Bluebeard is really in with an opportunity of making a move. The problem for everyone else is if Bluebeard gets past the GTRs, he's going to be even more clean space. He's going to get past Danger Mouse with the penalty probably. So this is imperative. He's not even going to wait for the penalty. Not even going to wait for the penalty. Obi-Wan on the inside. And Bluebeard will follow through the hole. And Danger Mouse has made an error there. And if you're a McLaren, it becomes extremely critical now that Obi-Wan is able to hold Bluebeard back. Because whilst you have a substantial advantage, you have to pit again. So did Obi-Wan. The thing is, Bluebeard does not. Half tank now. It's going to get into the end. We're on lap 13 now of 18, so there's 6 to go. Technically 5 and change if you're keeping score, but that's going to be extremely problematic for the group out in front. Automat is starting to slowly but surely fight his way back as well. Chuck Norris's tyres, that front right doesn't look particularly great at the moment. Here comes Danger Man, Obi-Wan against Bluebeard. Bluebeard looking to essentially drive off from the GTRs to make the overtake and get gone. And he has overtaken the GTRs. And he's got past Obi-Wan. And the resistance has faltered from the GTRs. And Bluebeard has a massive opportunity now to extend the title. Well, the title hopes just a little bit longer and make his life next race a lot easier. Don't forget, that sprint race went poorly. That gap had chalked down from 22 at the beginning of the day to 16. He can't afford for it to drop any lower than 16, otherwise it will be I do believe the term is squeaky bum time if it's if that is what happens. But right now, Bluebeard has driven this race as good as he probably could have. He doesn't need to focus on beating anybody else. He just needs to focus on being H-Boss, and he's doing that convincingly at the moment. Chuck Norris is all over the place at this point as well. H-Boss is currently in 10th. That goes back in front of him. H-Boss is going to have to pit again. I don't think Gus back will. Our tyres maybe be able to take into the end from there. We continue down the straight. Ahmad is there. Chuck Norris is going to remember that the actual dotted line is where he has to cross this time. I hope I didn't see that wrong. I don't know whether or not he did cross the dotted line or cross the solid white line again. Because that's what he did the first time. We'll see if he gets a penalty this time. Bluebeard has driven so far away from Obi-Wan, it's not even funny. Usually we usually see whether or not people can hold on to the back of the car in front when they be overtaken, especially on the better tires, on tires. But Obi-Wan has just lost him. Never really got close, never really kept Bluebeard close, so Bluebeard has driven away and he can now see the McLarens in the distance. He's currently setting purple laps. H-Boss has the fastest lap of the race so far, so that would be an interesting 2-point swing. It's purple again. Bluebeard is on a mission. If you're Sapper, if you're Sapper and you're Rich, do you come in at the end of this lap? I think you have to. And then you have to try and just push as hard as you can for 4 laps on the soft. Just to see if you can really, really get back to Bluebeard. Because the rate that Bluebeard is going right now, you getting out in front of Bluebeard is impossible. So you've got to go in now. You've got to give yourself as much time as you can possibly muster to get an opportunity at Bluebeard later down the line. This should be a 2-3 at the very least for McLaren, which will do very well in terms of trying to secure their Constructors title. Don't forget, the most you can pick up in Constructors in a week is, I think, so it's 43 if you go perfect. If you get second in both races at 12 and 22, so that's another 34, so it'd be 77 that you need to win a Constructors title before the end of the final week. Before the end of the second and final week, sorry, to win it with a race spare. It would take something special to do that. Asappa's into the pits, Obi-Wan and Danger Mouse into the pits as well. Richard stayed out, which I'm not sure I'm not sure that's the pertinent choice here, to be honest with you. Should have tried to do 4 on the softs. He's certainly not getting to the end from here. Yeah, should have tried to do 4 on the softs. Give yourself as much of the time as humanly possible on the better tyres, because those mediums already won quite a way. So if you go onto the soft here, do 4 laps on the soft if you can do it. You can just start to push that envelope just a little bit. The final lap on the softs is going to be just as bad as the final lap on these medium tyres. So you aren't really going to lose anything. Sapper is the perfect example of that. He's out ahead of H-Boss. With Gus back in the distance for him to try and chase down, that shouldn't be too difficult of a task to do either. Sapper probably will end on the podium here. There's Sapper in the background of the shot. There's Ahmad's in front. You see Ahmad is just hitting the long left-hander now, so Ahmad is going to be struggling. Ahmad is going to be struggling a lot. I don't know if he makes the end. I don't think he will make the end, you know. Those tyres are going to be so dead by the end of this process. Oh, he might be running around on rims on lap 18. Well, he's definitely in trouble. Sapper is right on the back of Gus back. This should just be how quickly can Sapper blow by the Merc. Richard's going to come out at the end of this, go in at the end of this lap, so he's going to come out without putting as much fuel in. Probably comes out ahead of Gus back, and has a chance to chart down Ahmed straight away. But the problem that they've got is that Bluebeard is a long way away now. I think they've left it too long, to be completely honest with you, in terms of there's 2 stop versus a 1 stop. Bluebeard got it spot on. Not a lot of fighting at the start helped Bluebeard quite massively. The strategy has definitely been the better one. which I am very surprised about. Here comes Rich out in front of Gusbach, as I predicted. So, Rich back out in front of Gusbach with Ahmed in front of him. And a long way to go in terms of catching up Bluebeard. That is that's not happening. Bluebeard has got this spot on. Yeah, so we'll see how long it takes realistically for Rich to hunt down Ahmed then, who is in a world of pain. Absolutely, he is in a problematic place to be in with 2.5 laps to go, and his tyres look like they're about to die now. Never mind in a couple of laps' time. Here we go, into the corner here with Sapper on the inside of Gusbach, and Sapper had made that work easy. And Sapper is up ahead of Gusbach then, as the McLarens are searching for that second and third. She'll do them all pretty well. Rich to the inside, and that's one half of the equation complete for Rich and for the McLarens. Up in a second, Ahmed is just in trouble. He is going to struggle the entire way back. Rich has just blown past him without question. Sapper should do the same. H-Boss is currently in 6th, so H-Boss is going to be very interesting for H-Boss here. In terms of keeping hold of that 6th place, the problem for him is that he needs higher than that. He's getting 14 at the moment. The winner, the Bluebeard's getting himself a nice tasty 25. Won't get past his lap. Uri's has secured the 18.6. Well, that's no longer in the question. So H-Boss needs to get past someone here. As he looks to try and keep the number down, the number that he has to try and pass next week. Ahmad's into the pits here then, yep. As I said, he wasn't going to get to the end, so he is well and truly screwed up. Gusbach into 4th now then, so H-Boss will get past Ahmad. You can see Ahmed is in a lot of trouble. He should go on to softs here. Yep, he has gone on to softs, but he's out in 9th. That's never going to work. Robbo is currently in 6th. It's a good race for him. That might be the best race we've seen from him all season. That's going to be very interesting then. H-Boss is up in the 5th then, so that will give him 16 points on the day then. Brings him 9 behind. It would be bringing him 9 behind Bluebeard in this race, which would turn that into a 25-point advantage for Bluebeard going into the Nürburgring next week. Zappa and Rich are both, well, now Ahmad's a pit, they're both 2 and 3. So the McLaren's really pushing the envelope now into trying to get themselves, well, into getting themselves a glorious Opportunity Constructors title. We go round, Zappa, Rich. Rich is actually fairly close to Bluebeard. I think it's going to be too little too late. We'll need an extra lap, which is funny enough. Which, if he does end up needing an extra lap on these soft tyres, would be kind of funny, given the fact that he went in far too late to give himself an adequate opportunity to try and track down Bluebeard. So he does get within maybe a second, 2 seconds of the group of Bluebeard in front, and he is going to be kicking himself, I reckon. Should have made the call earlier. H-Boss is still comfortably off the back of Gusbach. I think H-Boss would need an extra lap as well, realistically, just to get Gusbach at the end here. The 2 points bringing it back down to a 23, and would be as they started, which would not be the worst situation in the world for H-Boss. Bluebeard said that he beat Platt in a lobby earlier on before this race, and Fair enough. And it'll even look like it's 7 seconds now. Might 7 seconds at the end. Are we going to have any sort of battles in this race? We might do. Robbo is going to go after H-Boss. Now this would be detrimental for H-Boss. This would turn it into a 27-point gap. A 27-point gap when there's only 43 to play for becomes a lot difficult and incredibly improbable. Robbo hitting the side of him there. And H-Boss is not happy. Not sure what happened there. H-Boss not particularly happy at Robbo. As Robbo goes past and the gap now sits at 27. I wonder if there's going to be any last twists and turns going on in this one. Looks like the front three have got themselves settled in, but the real question is how is the rest of the race going to end? Robbo's got himself up into 5th. H-Boss has just dropped down into 6th. That's going to open it up just a little bit more, so a little bit less that Bluebeard has to do next week to win. As it stands, there are 27 points the gap. A pole, a sprint fastest lap, and a sprint win would be enough to seal the championship. Wouldn't even have to turn up for the feature race. It looked a little deep there for H-Boss. That didn't look good in the slightest. His medium tires are starting to fall off a cliff. You go down, he's on the inside. Go to the front. We're going to actually go to the front here. We'll get back on the actual fight between H-Boss and Ahmad's in a second, because we've got to congratulate someone as they round the final corner, and the M6 on the one stop has pulled the strategy out of his ass, but he's done it at the most pertinent of times. Bluebeard wins in Kyoto in the feature and extends the championship lead. Rich comes in second. Sapper is going to be the one that ends up on the podium here. We'll deal with whatever the hell just happened in the background here right now. We go on the back with Gusback. Robbo looking for an inside move, looking for an outside move. Any opportunity he can to just try and steal that 4th place off of Gusback. Around the outside of the chicane. Gusback got it wrong. Robbo! Oh, and Gusback and Robbo come together! Gusback and Robbo come together with Ahmad's on the inside of H-Boss, and Ahmad's has pushed his way through. Ahmad, we were pushed to pass at the very end. H-Boss should have reported that. And if I was H-Boss, I'd be spamming that report straight away. And he gets beat in the drag race to the line. Ahmad's 4th, H-Boss 5th. Obi-Wan in 6th, Danger Mouse in 7th, Chuck Norris in 8th, Gusback in 9th, Robbo in 10th. Absolutely, not through no fault of his own. Gusback just got it wrong. Absolute has somehow made it to the end on tires that exist. It looked like Absolute, and then Yuri after that. Yuri has had a really bad day at the office. Certainly, so one way of putting it. If I was H-Boss, you're in a championship fight. I would not have let that go. The 2 points could have made the difference there. You'd get up 4th. There was a couple of question marks through there. If Robert had beat you, there would have been one there as well. Like, it would have been very questionable. I'm very surprised. Very, very surprised that everyone let things go there. And so we go over the line with Yuri in 12th, and that will mark the end of the feature race in Kyoto. Let's have a look at what the standings were looking like then at the end of week 7. It looked like the standings where there was no report sits at 25 points the gap then. Bluebeard has a 25-point advantage to H-Boss. Technically, though, Danger Mouse could win the title, but he would need an absolute miracle. As turns to the constructors, we got 3 teams within 7 points. McLaren on 260, Gen X on 255, Nissan GTR on 253. So, 3-way fight for the constructors at the Nürburgring. 2-way fight, realistically, for the title in the drivers. 1 race to go. Who's going to be the team and the driver that comes out on top? We'll answer that question rather shortly. We will get that second stream today. And I'll see you guys when I start that. Peace.